Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. We are going to break down the 2019 Michigan football schedule. I'm going to give you my percentage win probability as we stand here today before the 2019 season gets kicked off against Middle Tennessee State on August 31st. Under the lights, I am James Yoder, the undisputed king of Michigan football media, asking you this question to get started with the show. I want everyone to put the cards out on the table before I give you my predictions, my percentage win probability for each game. Predict Michigan's regular season record. I put the schedule out on social media, this question on social media. Math may be a problem sometimes, so just focus on the 12 games. Don't try and project the bowl game, the Big Ten title, playoffs, all stuff. Just the 12 games in the schedule right now. Give me a record, 9-3, 10-2, 8-4, 12-0, whatever you got, put it below in the comments. Let's get it rolling. Opening game, the first game in Michigan history to start the season at the Big House under the lights, August 31st against Middle Tennessee State. Lost their conference championship game last year, 8-5. I have got that is August 31st. Next up, we've got Army, September 7th. Then a random week 3, third Saturday of the season bye, followed by a trip to number 17, Wisconsin at 7-5 last year, down year, but they're back with one of the best running backs in the country. Next up, Rutgers, 1-11 last year, September 28th. Then you've got Iowa at home, homecoming October 5th, followed by Illinois, October 12th. Next up, a trip to Penn State for an under-the-lights whiteout game. A Penn State team that loses their longtime quarterback, Trace McSorley. That's October 19th, followed by the next week. I believe this game, when all is said and done, will be under the lights at Michigan Stadium against Notre Dame on October 26th, followed by heading out to College Park, Maryland, 5-7 last year. New coach Mike Locksley. That game is November 2nd at Maryland. Next up, a second bye for one of the first seasons in recent memory. College football teams, most of them at least, will have 2 byes, followed by Michigan State at home. Contrary to some questions I've been getting, Michigan State game I'm almost assured will not be a night game, so quit asking that question. Then on a trip, that scary pre-Ohio State trip to Indiana once again, 5-7 last year for the Hoosiers on November 23rd. Ending the season, as always, November 30th, Thanksgiving weekends against the number 5 Ohio State Buckeyes. They get through that slate. If they can be Big Ten East champions for the first time, they will head to Indianapolis to play in the Big Ten championship game on December 7th. So ask you one more time. Predict Michigan's regular season record, 12 games, the 12 I just showed you. Now, we're going to go through each game one by one. I'll give you my percentage win probability and a couple different interesting factoids I'm looking at for each of the 12 games. Starting off with August 31st, Middle Tennessee State, 99% likelihood. I get they were in a group of 5 conference championship game last year, Middle Tennessee State was. But Michigan should absolutely blow them out. The spread is over 30 at this point. This will be one of the biggest upsets, I believe, in Michigan's football history outside of App State and Toledo in 07 and 08. Jim Harbaugh, though, has not performed, flawlessly in season openers. 3-1 in 2015, a couple back-to-back undefeated out-of-conference slates in 2016 and 17, and then last year lost to Notre Dame. So those 2 out-of-conference losses in 15 and 18 both came in the season opener at Utah in 2015 and at Notre Dame in 2018. This one will be a home game, so not nearly the same daunting challenge of going on the road, but nevertheless, 2 losses in season openers for Harbaugh thus far. Make sure you guys are following us on Instagram. I put 2. I was waiting for some studio time. A lot of bureaucracy to get some studio time in here at Chat Sports. So I wanted to make sure I got some information to you. Put it on the Instagram account this week. I did a full rumors report and an Ask Me Anything. So go ahead and follow at Michigan Football Report. All kinds of information there throughout the rest of fall camp. Next up, we've got Army, which I thought would be a night game. The powers that be at Fox and the Big Ten Network decided Middle Tennessee State was a better route. Army on September 7th will be a noon game. I'm putting this one at 90% probability of winning, which maybe be high for some of you. Maybe you guys are saying 75, 80, 60% because of that Oklahoma game that they gave Oklahoma a scare kind of in the same first couple weeks of the year last year, an Oklahoma team that went on to be in the college football playoff. But I don't think Michigan will have much problem with Army. I think Michigan's defense is actually much more prepared to stop a running attack like Army employs than Oklahoma was last year. And I would rather be much more scared of a team that throws the ball a ton rather than a running team or an option team like Army. So I don't put the loss probability much for Army with this Michigan game, but nevertheless, that is where we stand. Michigan, though, does have one of the toughest schedules in the country, and according to these rankings, the toughest in the Big Ten. Number 9 in the country, Michigan, number 9 toughest schedule, followed by Maryland, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. So Michigan was 6 of the coaches poll top 20 preseason as opponents this year. Number 9 toughest schedule in the country. I think that's a little low, honestly, but nevertheless, that is what it is. After a bye week on September 14th, Michigan will then head to number 17 Wisconsin, who is coming off a disappointing year, to be honest. They were a top 10 team to start the year last year. I believe number 7 in the preseason coaches poll last year. 5-loss season. I'm putting it at 60% win probability for Michigan to beat Wisconsin this year. Probably the best running back in the country in Jonathan Taylor, but a lot of questions at the quarterback position for them. May end up starting a true freshman, a very highly rated true freshman quarterback, but their 3-year starter decided to transfer. I think, where'd he go? Florida State? Anybody? Yeah. I don't even think he got the start. He's going to get the starting nod there, so I'm not sure why he transferred out of there. But Jim Harbaugh, 2-1 against Wisconsin, had the lead before Brandon Peters got hurt in the third quarter of 2017 game against a top 10 Wisconsin team, and that one just really got away from him. I think Wisconsin rolled off 17 straight points to end that game. 2-1 against Wisconsin, really dominated them last year when they were a top 15 team coming into the Big House in a game that ended up under the lights. So I think Michigan's got a 60% chance of winning this one. If it was later in the year, I might bump it up to 65 or 70, but given it's the third game in a new offense, 60% win probability for this one. But I want to know from you guys, predict the score. Number 7, Michigan, at least now, at number 17, Wisconsin. Third game of the year, 4th Saturday in the college football season. Let me know below in the comments here on the Chat Sports Michigan Football Report YouTube channel, youtube.com/Michigan TV. And make sure you guys subscribe. We took a little break off from shows last week, but we've got, it's the 8th now. We've got, guys, like 3.5 weeks to get to 5,000 subscribers. So please subscribe now. We're putting out shows almost every day the rest of fall camp. So news, rumors, game highlights, subscribe now, youtube.com/Michigan TV. Those are the 3 games so far, 99%, 90%, 60%. You should be going into the 5th Saturday, 4th game at a 3-0 record if those numbers hold true. And then you've got Rutgers on September 28th, and I can only chuckle at this game a little bit. They're going to come in to the Big House. This is one of the worst teams in college football, certainly one of the worst in Power 5. 99% win probability. My only guess with this game, my only thought on this one is, can Michigan score 80 points? That's the only thing I'm thinking about. 3 years back, they scored 78 points against Rutgers on the road. Can they score 80? I'm not going to put that on screen, but toss that one below in the comment section if you want to. Then it starts to get dicey. Then you've got October 5th against Iowa. A top 19, top 20 team, ranked number 19, Iowa, homecoming, will almost assuredly be a noon kickoff game. This is where I think Michigan's first loss potentially could come, although I've got it at 70% win probability. This is a team just 3 short years ago, if you guys all remember, late in the season, mid-November, beat number 2 Michigan, who was cruising into the playoffs. And if you think back to that season, 2016, Michigan wins that game on the road against, I believe, an unranked Iowa team. They probably still could lose the Ohio State game, make the playoff, but nevertheless, lost that game to Iowa. Probably the most, I think, in one of the most impactful, certainly not the biggest loss in Jim Harbaugh's, maybe the most impactful because of how unlikely of a loss that was supposed to be at the time. So Iowa is certainly not a team to overlook that early in the season. Homecoming, hopefully Michigan will be up for it. 70% win probability, but look, guys, 30% is nothing to sneeze at for Iowa's chances on this one. It comes up after Iowa on October 12th. I don't think Michigan's going to have any problem with this one. These are probably games I could put 100%, but I'm trying to be realistic here. Much like Iowa a few years back, certainly Michigan could lose this one, although Jim Harbaugh has seemed to win the one we're supposed to. He's had much more problems with the games that against teams of equal stature. So 90% win probability at Illinois. Not going to go into that one too deep, but I want you guys to make sure that you're representing your team as a Michigan fan. You Ohio State fans, get the hell out of here right now. Okay, this is for us. This is for us. Give me a Go Blue below in the comments. Let's see our fanhood. Let's light that bad boy up with some Go Blues. Keep it rolling though with the schedule. October 14th. This slate, come mid-season, past October 15th, past middle of October, is one of the most daunting down the stretch slates Michigan's ever had. You're going to have 4 teams coming up here ranked in the top 20. One on the road, and then 3 games at home to end the year against top 20 teams. At Penn State, night game, whiteout, crazy atmosphere. I'm giving a 55% win probability for Michigan. If it was a day game, I'd probably give it like a 65%, just because how Michigan blew them out last year, blew them out in 2016. But we all remember in 2017, same atmosphere. Saquon Barkley, all the receivers, tight ends, Trace McSorley. Penn State kicked Michigan's ass, 42-13. It could have been 60-13 that day. So Happy Valley is certainly no place to ignore. But you look at 2015, Jim Harbaugh's first year, maybe similarly talented Penn State team that year. Michigan was able to get the victory, 28-16. So Harbaugh certainly has proven he can win away from home, can win at Penn State, but you did get your butt kicked royally the last time you went there, 55% win probability. Next up, Notre Dame, October 26th. I didn't go back and look at the Bentley Michigan Library archives on this one, but I would believe that this is the latest Michigan's ever played Notre Dame in a season, at least since color television has been around. October 26th against number 9 Notre Dame. I'm very confident this is going to be a game under the lights, but ultimately the TV networks are going to decide this. It'll likely be an ABC game. 55% win probability for that one. Let's just stop right now. I see you guys are going, you're looking at the show, you're going, this guy Yoder doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. We're going to crush Notre Dame. Just like last year, when Michigan should have absolutely beat Notre Dame, and then everyone thought, we're going to beat Notre Dame, it's going to be fine. And then Michigan just didn't show up, folks. And I'm not confident that something's going to drastically change in just 1 year. This Notre Dame team, do we all forget they went undefeated last year? Do we all forget that they went to the college football playoff? I think some of us do, because a lot of people I see are just writing that off as an easy victory. Notre Dame has got the best of Michigan in recent memory. 2 straight wins, 2018, 3-year gap of not playing, 2014, Brady Hoax last year. And then Michigan had a long string of dominance before that, 2013, 2011 getting those victories, and then 10, 2009, 2007, 2006, etc. So Michigan's got the best over the last 10, 12 years. Nevertheless, Notre Dame has won the last 2, including 1-0 versus Jim Harbaugh. 5th season as Michigan's head coach coming up. Grade him after 4 seasons. You can grade him versus your expectations. You can grade him, which I don't think he's lived up to. You can grade him versus Brady Hoax prior tenure. You can grade him against Lloyd Carr. Wherever you want to grade him, just grade him below in the comments section, A, B, C, D, or F. If you want to justify your grade and add that, go ahead and do it. I'm going to give him a B- at this point. Hasn't got it done against rivals, top 10 teams, hasn't won any title of that sort, and I expected him to at this point. Got to get it done in year 5. Maryland, Mike Locksley, you may have saw some little dust up in the news in the last little bit between Mike Locksley and Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis. I'm giving this one 90% win probability. This seems like one of these games that Gaddis is going to go to Harbaugh and say, I just want to run it up on these SOBs, because Locksley, former co-offensive coordinator, but was the main guy in Alabama last year with Gaddis. Gaddis is more of a coordinator in inflated title only. He tried to take all the credit, throw Gaddis under the bus in the past few weeks, saying, hey, I called all the plays at Alabama. It was all my stuff, yada, yada, yada. And Gaddis came out in the media and said he did call the plays, but it was my game plan. So a little bit of war of words between those two guys. I'm expecting Michigan to run it up on Maryland like they have many a times, specifically in Maryland. 90% win probability there. Then it's Michigan State. This rivalry is getting very strange in that I feel Michigan should be 4-0 against Michigan State under Jim Harbaugh, but they're 2-2 and 0-2 at home. 2015, the game we're not going to talk about, and then 2017, the monsoon, where for some reason Jim Harbaugh decided to have Wilton Speight throw like 40 times, or whatever it was, in the pouring rain. It was one of the more mind-boggling offensive game plans I've ever seen. But I'm giving it a 65% chance after Michigan State only got 94 yards of offense last year, if we all remember, in East Lansing. I don't think they have the offensive firepower. I think Michigan certainly will this year. I think Michigan State's going to have a big-time challenge scoring on Michigan's defense. But we see last year Michigan won on the road, lost at home, won on the road in 2016, lost at home in 2015. So home field advantage doesn't seem to have much impact in this series. Jim Harbaugh 2-2. I will say this. Harbaugh loses to Michigan State this year, I think that will have just as big of an impact on people calling for his head if we were to lose for Ohio State for a fifth straight year. So 65% win probability is what I'm giving this one. This is a must-win this year. Certainly Ohio State is, certainly Michigan State. I think if any game they can lose and people don't really care about as far as long-term, I think it would be Notre Dame, maybe a Penn State or Wisconsin on the road. But Ohio State, Michigan State, got to get it done. And I want to ask you guys this question because someone DM'd it to me yesterday from my Ask Me Anything on Instagram after we had done it, so I wasn't able to answer it. And I thought it was a really good question. And he said, James, imagine your son has scholarship offers as a football player to Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Cannot go to Michigan. They don't offer him whatever the reason. You can't choose Michigan under any circumstance. Which school do you tell him to pick? Which school do you support him going to? Want to know from you guys. Michigan State, Notre Dame, Ohio State. If your son was playing football, where would he go? I told the guy, without question, 100% it would be Notre Dame. Not even a consideration, but I want to know from you guys, where would you send your son? Notre Dame was a no-brainer. Wouldn't even consider the other two. Answer below in the comment section. And also, scroll up on YouTube, tap that subscribe button. You're watching this show. We get a really good response in the comments every show, so certainly you guys like what you see. Make sure you subscribe. It helps us out. And if we get to 5,000 before August 31st, folks, this will not turn in to a Detroit Tigers channel come baseball offseason. That I can promise you. 3,300 subscribers now. Need 1,700 of you more to hit the subscribe button for us to keep this thing going all throughout the 2019 football season. Michigan football depends on it, folks. Got to have it. Next up, Indiana, where Jim Harbaugh certainly has struggled. I didn't pull these scores up in front of me at the moment, but if we remember in 2016, 17, maybe it was 15, 16, whatever it was, those games came down to like the last play. I think maybe it was 15 and 17, the games at Iowa, like overtime. Michigan needed everything they had to beat, I said Iowa up to 3 times. Indiana, my bad in that one. Indiana, but nevertheless, the same thing. Indiana, Michigan needed overtime, needed last play, needed heroic plays to beat them. But I've got an 80% win probability. But this is, for some reason, Jim Harbaugh has overlooked Indiana for the last few years. They've got Michigan coaches, former Michigan players, all over their staff. Certainly Mike Hart. I don't know if Mike DeBoer's still there. Nevertheless, they've got a ton of Michigan guys there. Cannot overlook this one. 80% likelihood. But this was the downfall. This game started the downfall of Michigan last year. Don Brown's defense was exposed big time by Indiana last year running a spread, and that didn't stop. Michigan hasn't stopped getting exposed on defense since. So keep an eye on this one. It's one of my landmine games, 80% win probability. And before we get to Ohio State, November 30th, Thanksgiving weekend, I need to know from you guys what you think. Will Michigan beat Ohio State in 2019? I grew up in Ohio, and let me just say this. It was glorious because I would go in going to school those last Saturdays in November, the week leading up, the week after, extremely confident and always coming out, except for 94, 98, but 15-year stretch, Michigan won 13 games, whatever it was. But since 2001, folks, it has been Ohio State dominance for nearly 20 years. Will Michigan beat Ohio State in 2019? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Gotta know from you guys. So get those comments below. Want to see what you guys think. Ohio State, number 5 in the country. Ryan Day, new head coach, was the interim coach for 3 games last year against a couple cupcakes and then TCU in Dallas. Number 5 to start the year with Justin Fields as their, frankly, I think he's a wild card. I think you could see them going 8-4 and him throwing 15 interceptions, or he could win the Heisman. I really think it's that unknown, what we've seen. Some have called him the second best quarterback coming out of high school in the past decade, behind only his classmate in the 2018 recruiting class, Trevor Lawrence. So this is an all-time, big-time player, number 2 player in that 2018 recruiting class. left Georgia under some, mitigating circumstances, to say the least. Got the instant eligibility. Jim Harbaugh certainly has not fared well against Ohio State. 0-4. If his name was anything other than Harbaugh, you know as well as I do, you would be calling for his head. You did it with Brady Hoke. You did it with Rich Rod. Hell, you did it with Lloyd Carr for losing a few straight to end his career, even after dominating Ohio State for the first 9 years of his coaching career. So nevertheless, Jim Harbaugh's 0-4. Could have got it done in 16. JT was short. We all know that. Probably could have got it done in 17. Had a 14-0 lead early on with John O'Corn at quarterback. Couldn't get it done. I am putting it at 40% win probability. Start talking trash to me right now in the comment section. I get it. You're excited. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. All the Michigan linemen have slimmed down. Everyone's looking the part. They're putting the game plan in for Ohio State. But it is not physical anymore. It is not even talent. It is all mental. Ohio State has mind-effed all of us, and until they can break over that hurdle, and Michigan's not going to win a 23-21 game or a 27-24, 30-31. The only way they're going to win is like what Jim Harbaugh did to USC at Stanford. It's got to be 42-10, because if it's a close game, they're going to wilter, they're going to wither, what's the word? They're going to break down, and Ohio State will get it done. So if you're going to beat Ohio State, you're going to have to do it like you did to Penn State last year or to Wisconsin last year. Absolutely kick their ass. 40% win probability, and that is the 2019 Michigan football schedule and results. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and subscribe here, folks. If you want to keep watching some Michigan football reports, all kinds of content, got videos for you here and here. Go Blue.